You got 5 minutes.
Thank you.
So at about 2 minutes, you want to, like, we'll turn the mic on and we'll just start talking about whatever.
Okay, you got 2 minutes, Laura. I gotta pick my 5.
Why 2?
Well,
Why did you change it all of a sudden?
Because we're trying something new.
David wants to talk about something. When we get
That's
to about
live.
2 minutes
That
left.
mic is live.
On the podcast.
So I get the tread part in treadmill.
Yeah.
What I don't get is the mill. Like, I think of a mill as like something that, like, you know, like a sawmill.
Yeah. What? No, you're thinking about it wrong. It's you tread so you can eat a bigger meal. It's your tread that leads to your meals.
But if you were trying to use the treadmill for its intended purpose, wouldn't you eat less meal while working on the tread?
That's what these equipment company manufacturers want you to believe, but they know that the more you exercise, the hungrier you are. And the more you eat, the more exercise equipment you buy. It's a vicious cycle.
Have you seen the Lorax?
The Lorax?
Yeah.
Yeah, once upon a time.
Do you remember they're selling air? And
Yeah.
the guy's like, and furthermore, the factory we're going to use to make the plastic bottles will put more pollution in the sky. And therefore, like, more people will buy the air, basically, is what they're saying. So you're saying the treadmill companies are as shady as the guy from Lorax?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Cool.
All right. This is Subjectively Correct, live. The only show in the known universe featuring David and me, where we talk about sports, we talk about funny news stories, we talk about... Can anyone see me?
I don't think they can.
Oh no. Can you hear me?
I don't know. I'm right next to you, so yes, I can hear you.
Let's see. Let's see if we're on now. Hello.
Good start. We're starting strong on the Subjectively Correct Sports podcast.
We're gonna be right back. We're gonna fix some things and be right back.
Are we?
Yes. Okay, we're back.
Just a little tease.
We're back for real. Welcome to Subjectively Correct Sports, the only podcast and live streaming show in the world, in this office, featuring you and me, a microphone, a keyboard. We're going to talk about sports, David. We're going to talk about funny stories. What else are we going to talk about?
I wonder how long that joke is going to be, usable.
I thought you were going to say funny, and my response would have been, has it yet been funny?
That's good, yes. So now we must ask ourselves, why are we still doing it?
Yeah. Well, I guess it'll be usable until there's another podcast happening in my office.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe we should think about the quality of the joke before we continue it.
No, I'm good with it. All right. So as we're streaming tonight, we got the Laker game. Lakers, Rockets. Nail biter right now. Lakers down 2, fourth quarter. We got the Chiefs Chargers on. Big game. I think we start with the NFL, right? Lots of big implications with the games this weekend. Starting with Chargers at Chiefs. Chargers are 10-3. Chiefs are 11-2. They're both in the AFC West.
Yeah, but a major problem here is the Chiefs seem to be dominating in the third quarter. Old Phil Rivers is going to be in Old Phil Rivers purgatory again, where he's going to be down 8 points. He has to go 80 yards with 1 or no timeouts left. I'm calling it now. That's what's going to happen.
And this game would have been a lot closer if they didn't throw an interception right before halftime. So if I were coaching the Chargers, I would have said don't throw the interception in the end zone right before halftime.
This begs the question. Have you thought about coaching football?
I thought about it, but I like to challenge myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so obviously coaching football, you're too good at it.
Yeah, I know how to win. You just...
Don't throw interceptions?
Don't throw interceptions in the end zone right before halftime.
Right. Because not throwing interceptions has brought Alex Smith tons of postseason success.
This is exactly right. Okay. So, Chargers, Chiefs, they're in the same division, but they're the two best teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
So, is the division scheme, antiquated? It's not even really used in the NBA anymore.
It's just the eight best records from each conference get in.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes sense in the NBA when they're playing so many games. But I don't know. I feel like the NFL system does okay. I don't feel like there's any team at the end of the year, kind of like the college football playoff, where so angry that Auburn didn't get in even though they had a great record or maybe won their conference championship or something. We don't have that in the NFL. We never really complain about that.
Every once in a while you'll get a 7-9 team that sneaks in because they won a very weak division.
Right. And I don't know, but those 2 wild card spots usually make up for whatever good teams there are. And because there's 2 wild card spots instead of just 1 wild card spot, it opens up the door for, if there's an exceptional division, 3 teams from that division could get in, right? Like the NFC East right now is a awful division, and so we know that a wild card team isn't going to come from there. But if there was a division that had a really great, remember those years when the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks were all good in the NFC West? Not so much anymore. But when they were all good in the NFC West, it was feasible or plausible that they could all win a playoff spot because of the way that system works. And I think that's more than enough to make up for any, teams that should get in but don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just feel like the division system in any sport, baseball, basketball, football, was created because you wanted to group teams together geographically
Right.
to reduce travel time.
Because
right?
everyone was traveling by train and
when
bus
everyone was
before.
on a bus and train, right?
Well, John Madden would still be on a bus.
That's true. Him and Tony Kornheiser.
Is he afraid of flying too?
Yeah, he hates flying.
Kornheiser. He's so old. And
but
John Madden's not, I guess.
but now, where you fly everywhere, you're on a private jet or your charter plane, right? To every destination. It takes you. You're no matter where you start in the country, you're at your destination within 5 hours, right? And you're in a luxury hotel, right? So for football.
Unless you're the Raiders,
I think
they
it makes
probably stay at the Motel 6, the Raiders.
Well, yeah, I think it makes the least sense for football because you're in the same place for a week, right? You could fly out Sunday night or Monday morning. You're there. You could be there all week, right? So it's not like the travel's going to impact you.
You're talking about the playoffs?
I'm talking about during the regular season. Like, why do we even have divisions?
Oh, I got you.
And yeah, you could fly across country. You're there all week. It's not like you can complain that you didn't adjust. You had a rough time zone or something, right? Baseball, even you could travel across country and you're in the same location for 3 to 4 days.
Right, because you're playing series. You don't play one-offs in major leagues. You always have at least two games with each team.
Yeah, but the league where it actually makes sense to have divisions and to play the teams in your division more is basketball.
Rugby. Oh, basketball.
No, it's basketball because you have back-to-backs. You have 4 games and 5 nights, right? You have you just have a lot of games and you don't stay in the same place. It's like baseball has 162 games,
That's
right?
a lot, yeah.
But you may only be in 2 locations in a given week.
Right.
Basketball, you could have 3 or 4 games in a week and be in 3 or 4 different spots in the country.
And play back-to-back games.
Right.
I mean, I think the Heat had a road trip where they went to LA and they played the 2 LA teams back-to-back, which makes a little more sense. But imagine playing Portland and then LA and then Sacramento or something like that. That would be a nightmare of a week. And teams do that every year in the NBA, East Coast and West Coast teams.
Yeah. So I get the division system for basketball, but it's the one sport where they don't actually even use it, right?
Right. Well, they do play.
It's nominal.
I think they play 4 games against division opponents and then 2 games against everybody else, right? Isn't that how it goes? 4 games
play,
and then home away with not in their division.
They play at least 4. Yeah, they play 4 times in their division and then at least 3 times in their conference, and then outside of the conference it's 2.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess they do it to a degree, but in order to fit in so many games, they kind of have to make a few adjustments and stuff.
Yeah. So if the Chargers win tonight, which doesn't look like they're going to, but if they won, they'd be tied with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, I think, would own the tiebreaker, but we'd have to look at that.
And that's crazy to me that the Chargers, who no one was talking about, everyone was talking about the Chiefs, everyone's talking about the Rams as the new upcoming teams, and the Chargers just get kind of forgotten. Is it because they're all the way on the West Coast? Is it because...
It's because no one knows where they actually are. People still call them the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith called them the San Diego Chargers this morning.
Okay, well, he is kind of on a decline. Have you noticed? Like, Will Kane beat him in a debate.
Oh, really?
And now everyone's piling on, I guess. I don't know. I saw a few things on Twitter about that and stuff. But so the decline of Stephen A. isn't going to be pretty. He's the aging superstar who just can't let go.
It's just
give
too
up
bad.
Those minutes.
Yeah, it's too bad that these are the 2 best teams in the AFC, and one of them is going to get a bye the first round of the playoffs, and the other one's going to be on the road.
Yeah,
because the 2 teams playing tonight will be the 1 seed and the 5 seed in all likelihood. The other game in the AFC this weekend that's it's worth watching is Patriots at Steelers. You got the 9-4 Patriots at the 7-5-1 Steelers. By the way, how many ties have there been this year?
It felt like the first couple of weeks in the NFL there was a ton of ties.
Yeah, and
then they stopped.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I know. You look at you pay more attention to it now because you're trying to figure out playoff seeding and there's all these just weird records.
I would love to see a team tie twice in a season so that everyone would just lose their minds. That would be so great. I would love to see that.
So this game feels very much like the old NFL, and the Chargers feels like new NFL.
It totally does. I know exactly what you mean. Like high-powered offenses, teams that have been good for a long time versus the up-and-coming teams that are like recently good, especially the Chiefs. The Chargers have always been kind of like hanging around, but I think they're a big surprise and no one's really talking about them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I like the comparison.
You think about the AFC over the last 2 decades and the Steelers and the Patriots always at the top.
Yeah.
You've had some of the Peyton Manning teams, right? The Colts and the Broncos, and then the Ravens thrown in a little bit. But it's really the conference has been dominated by the Patriots and the Steelers.
Right.
And one of those, I mean, the Patriots, if they win, they've got a really good shot at getting the 2 seed. If they lose, though, that opens the door for the Texans. And the Texans have a very easy schedule the rest of the season. Their last 3 games are I think Jags, Jets, Lions, something like that. So they could very easily win out. So those two games in the AFC, NFC, it's your boy, Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately,
He makes me happy.
he's on the road at Chicago, but he owns the Bears. He owns them. Like he crushes. He's the thing of Bears nightmares, right? Bears fans. I don't think they're allowed. I don't think in the state of Illinois you're allowed to name boys Aaron anymore.
Really? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think it should be. Like any self-respecting Bears fan should not have an Aaron in their family.
Just like every self-respecting Bears fan should have a kid named either Mike or Ditka or Mike Ditka last name.
Exactly. So can the Bears keep it up? Can they actually maintain can they stay true to form like they've been this whole season? Can the same Bears team show up that showed up against the Rams? Or are they going to regress to the Bears of old? They can take out the Packers. They can end the Packers season this weekend.
If they did that to the Rams, they are more than capable of doing that to the Packers. And of course, I'm never going to naysay my favorite quarterback of all time, Aaron Rodgers. When you have a player that's that good on your team, you never count them out.
No.
Period. But at the same time, this Bears defense is a level above what we've seen over the last few years, and they're calling them one of, if not the best defenses in the league, according to the metrics and the numbers, especially getting pressure up the middle, which is huge. And you also have the Cowboys that people are talking about in that conversation because, they've had a huge sample size of the last, 3 weeks. Their defense has been really great, so we're going to call them the best defense ever now. But in all seriousness, the Bears defense is playing at a level that they haven't played at in years. I mean, even when they had Brian Urlacher, and they were thought of as a feared defense, it didn't feel like this. There's just a different feel to it. And I think it's the Khalil Mack presence and it's the pressure up the middle they get.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about this game for the Packers. Not for the Packers, but for my boy Aaron.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to lose this game. Because it's in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Bears defense is going to show up in Chicago, and Aaron's got no help, especially with coaching.
Do the Packers know how to play in the cold? That's my question.
Yeah, I think they'll do okay in the cold.
They might handle that. Okay. Yeah. So what's really
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What's really interesting
Sorry, I mispronounced it. Wisconsin. I apologize to all our listeners in Green Bay. Wisconsin. They're the Badgers, right?
The Badgers, Wisconsin? Yeah.
Yeah. Badgers are scary.
Are they? I've never
They're related to
encountered a
Wolverines. So if you
Wolverines are awesome.
Yes. So they're kind of from the same family. So you've heard of the honey badger?
Yes.
Honey badger don't care. I'm not talking about Tyrann Mathieu. I'm talking Matthew, right? Mathieu, right?
No, you're thinking of the actor in Grumpier Old Man.
Yeah, I am.
Walter Matthau.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. My bad. But honey badger don't care, right? Well, honey badgers are crazy. They'll go up against lions.
Yeah.
Like a full-grown male lion will go up against a honey badger. The male lion will be like, I just don't want any part of this.
Not going to
deal with
it.
Yeah.
Not dealing with this today.
Right.
Yeah.
So honey badgers are crazy.
Okay.
So Wisconsin and honey badgers and Green Bay. That's how that all connects. Clearly.
Mm-hmm. So interesting if you look at if you take a snapshot of the league today, the NFL today, and season ends, and you go into the playoffs with the current records, of the 6 highest paid quarterbacks, only one would be in the playoffs. Can you think of who that might be?
Well, the highest paid guys are like Garoppolo recently because he's got a big deal.
Rodgers,
he's the highest paid one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ryan, I think, is paid high. I don't know who else.
Stafford.
Oh, ugh.
Cousins.
Ugh. Stafford.
Carr.
That hasn't been pretty. That hasn't been a good contract so far. That's pretty low value contract.
Kirk Cousins is the only quarterback that's in the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks if you take into account average annual salary. Okay, he would be the only one making the playoffs. And I sat there here's the list. It's Aaron Rodgers, it's Matt Ryan, it's Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr.
Jimmy Craps.
And Kirk Cousins would be the only one in the playoffs, and he'd be the 6th seed in the NFC on the 6-1 Vikings. What does that say? Because in basketball, you look at like the highest paid, right? And the highest paid players generally are on playoff teams.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, half the conference makes the playoffs.
That's true. Yeah.
But still, no, I see what you're saying. So the max money guys, unless you're Hassan Whiteside,
Yeah.
are pretty much always in the playoffs.
Yeah. So my question is, should these quarterbacks be taking less money so that there's more to spread around to get better players?
Well, it's worked in New England, and it's worked in other places like that where the quarterbacks aren't taking a lot of money and they spread the wealth around. And I can see that, especially in a salary cap sport. I mean, we talked a little bit about when the show first started over the summer, we talked a lot about value in contracts. So in salary cap leagues, you have to have value in your players. And that means you're getting high levels of output from compared to how much you're paying a person, right? So right now, Aaron Rodgers making $33.5 million a year. It may not be producing at a $33.5 million rate, right? Matt Ryan certainly isn't producing at his rate. Jimmy Garoppolo even worse because he's not even playing, right?
Yeah.
But then you get those value contracts. Like I remember the Russell Wilson contract. One of the big reasons the Seahawks were able to...
They had the best NFL contract and the worst NFL contract on the same team. They had
he was the best. Who was the worst?
The dude from the Packers that they signed after one game, Flynn.
Matt Flynn. Flynn. So yeah. So
signed a massive contract and then got outplayed by Russell Wilson in training camp.
Right.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson was on a rookie contract making peanuts compared to these high paid quarterbacks, and the Legion of Boom was their defense. So and that allowed them to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all about the salary cap in the NFL. It's all about finding value. And the quarterback might not be as valuable a position as we think because, I mean, Sean McVay turned Jared Goff into something incredible. And maybe it wasn't.
We went sideways.
We did. And, like, literally the camera went sideways, not like our conversation, which always goes sideways because that's how we roll on Subjectively Correct Sports Podcast. But we, man, to derail my train of thought. What were we talking about? Quarterbacks and stuff. Okay, so maybe it's more about the scheme with a lot of these quarterbacks than it is like the scheme they're playing in than it is about the talent of the quarterback. And Matt Ryan's a perfect example of that. I was talking about before the season started how he wasn't as good a quarterback as we thought he was. He's definitely not an MVP caliber quarterback, but his coach Kyle Shanahan creates MVP level quarterbacks. I mean, Nick Mullins got his team a win. Nick Mullins.
Double L.
3 L's. Yeah, Nick Mullins got the 49ers some wins, or a win, and looked pretty good with Kyle Shanahan. So, I don't know. I think the NFL is showing us that as long as you have... I think the most valuable positions now are head coach and tight end, maybe.
Yeah.
And pass rusher. I think those are the 3 most important... parts of a football team now, which is crazy because all these high-paid quarterbacks that are supposed to be great, I mean, there's no value in those contracts.
Yeah, it's
Except
almost
for Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. It almost has the feel of like college basketball where the coach makes such a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Versus NBA where the coach, like Steve Kerr could be coaching the Warriors,
I could be coaching the
Luke
Warriors.
Walton could be coaching, or you could be, or my 3-year-old could be, and they still win, 65 games.
Your 3-year-old would be the cutest head coach in the history of the NBA.
I agree with that.
Well, no, Stan Van Gundy.
Stan.
He's cuddly.
Yeah. Other bit of NFL news. You always love to see this. The city of Oakland is suing the NFL and the Raiders.
And the dumpster fire gets more fuel thrown on it.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you want to play in Oakland? Right? So they're suing the NFL and the Raiders because the Raiders are moving to Las Vegas in 2020.
Is it because it's a breach of contract or something? Because that's the only reason they would be able to sue.
No, so the lease is up at the end of the season.
So what's the grounds then? What's the suit based off of?
I haven't read the lawsuit, but my understanding just based on a quote or two that I've read. Here, let's read a quote. This is from the Upland City attorney. The Raiders' illegal move lines the pockets of NFL owners and sticks Oakland, its residents and taxpayers, and dedicated fans with the bill. The purpose of this lawsuit is to hold the defendants accountable and help to compensate Oakland for the damages the defendants' unlawful actions have caused and will cause to the people of Oakland. It doesn't really tell us much. They're claiming there's some collusion, that they colluded with the other NFL owners to not have a team in Oakland. But I think the other thing is this concept of reliance. It's a legal concept where if you tell someone, hey, if you go, say you're going to build a house, okay, right?
Yeah, I follow you.
Okay.
House building, I'm with you.
You're a contractor.
Okay, you're losing me a little bit, but keep going. We'll see.
Okay, and I say, hey, I'm going to hire you to build my house.
Okay,
but
got it.
You don't have any tools yet.
I don't.
Okay?
No tools.
But in reliance on me saying, hey, I'm going to hire you to build my house, you go and shell out 10 grand for tools. Okay, then you come back to me and I say, you know what, actually, I'm not going to go with you. I'm not even going to build a house.
I know how this
Or I'm going
story
to go
ends.
with someone else.
I know how this story ends. Because I was buying the tools for the job that you hired me for, but then you went back on your part of the deal, you would owe me the 10 grand.
Yeah, more or less. I'd make you whole, right? And so the doctrine is that if you act in reliance on someone's promise, even if it's not in a contract, that you may be entitled to some recovery, to some relief. Okay, and so what the city of Oakland is claiming, I think they made something like $80 million in renovations to the stadium.
The city of Oakland did.
The city of Oakland did, and that was with the intention of the Raiders being there a long time. Right, and obviously the Raiders are not going to be there. They're going to Las Vegas, and so the city feels that they spent all this money to upgrade the stadium to keep the team there, and the team's leaving.
So their complaint is that we put in money into this business, basically. The taxpayers of Oakland put in this money, and now that you're leaving, you need to pay this bill, not us.
Exactly,
because you benefited from this.
Right. So they're not. My understanding is that they're not suing to keep the team there.
They're suing to get the money that they feel like they're owed.
Yeah, I don't think there's a legal doctrine that would allow them to that would make them keep the team there, right? Unless there was some contract we don't know about.
So another question I have then is, would they also ask for damages as part of this, so they get some more money out of it?
They could. You'd have to look at the law of California and see. There's only certain circumstances where you can get punitive damages, right? So you can recover what you're owed, like what you lost, right? But are you talking about like a penalty in excess of that?
Yeah, I mean, like, because of the legal, I mean, of course, legal fees and stuff like that is a normal thing to add on top of.
All that should be covered, but
also on top of it, like, you're damaging our reputation. This makes us look bad for. Okay,
probably not. I mean, I'm not as familiar with California law, but probably not. Generally, it has to be a very special circumstance, and courts want to show other actors that this type of behavior won't be tolerated in the future.
So we're talking about California. So the actors you're talking about are like movie actors?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Wahlberg.
I should be a lawyer.
Definitely. But what's interesting is the lease runs out at the end of this year.
I have a face for radio though.
And Al Davis' son, who's that? Mark Davis?
Butch Davis?
Matt Davis? Someone Davis. Betty Davis? One of the Davises.
I feel like that's something we should know.
I think we should.
Oh well.
Bad haircut Davis.
His dad's hair was so good for so long.
He wanted the Raiders to play in Oakland next year. So they had presented a contract to the city of Oakland to let them extend their lease by 1 year, right? Until the stadium in Vegas was finished, and then they'd move to Vegas. Okay? So now they're homeless for a year because the stadium in Vegas isn't ready.
Right.
They're not going back to Oakland because they're being sued by the city. Okay? And so they have to find some place to play in 2019. So they could go to Vegas and use like Sam Boyd Stadium, right? They could go to LA. There's a couple of stadiums down there. Maybe San Jose.
Would they play in the Coliseum? But that's where the Rams play, right?
That's where the Rams play. Yeah.
It's such a mess there in California. The football teams, man.
Maybe they could. Yeah, I don't know. They could share a stadium, like maybe with the Seahawks or something, right? Every other week.
Yeah.
Just who knows? I mean,
but the Raiders might be a homeless team next season.
Right, they could be playing in a city that's they will probably be playing somewhere that's not the Bay Area.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's your weird, wacky NFL news. Which really, just one more thing on the legal front here.
Oh, good, because I wanted more legal talk. Hit me with
that Normally, you'd think, this is just like frivolous. This is the city attorney or the city saving face. But the attorney, the outside counsel that took on this case, is working on a contingency, meaning he doesn't get paid unless they win.
And what does that tell you? Like as
that
an
tells
attorney,
me
what
that
does tell
he
you?
thinks that there's a good shot that they will win.
Makes sense to me.
Also could mean he just is in it for the publicity.
A lawyer in something for the publicity? No way. What? Don't do that.
If you want to chat with him, I'm gonna.
Okay, now we're live again.
Whoa,
Oh.
how are we live? Uh-oh. If you want to chat with him, I'm gonna.
Okay, now.
All right, we're back.
Live again.
We're
How are we live?
we're still
Turn
very
off
much.
the speakers. Turn off the speakers.
Jeez, hold on.
This is so professional.
We're super professional. We're still very much learning this whole thing. Yeah. We were just told that we could be heard. So, all right, we should be back. We should be good. This is all going to sound really good. I'm sure everyone watching is super impressed with us.
The podcast might be the way to go this week. In
I
fact,
don't
it's
know.
the way to go every
I
week.
mean,
but
it's live, so what can you do?
yeah,
This is the magic of live.
that's magic. That's your definition of magic. What just happened to you is magic.
Yeah. All right, Dave.
I figured as a Lakers fan, your idea of magic should be like a little higher than what just happened there.
Yeah. So speaking of basketball, let's transition to some basketball stuff.
Seamlessly. Ball blart. Segue.
Yeah. So we're 1/3 of the way through the season. And
Already?
Yeah. Yeah. And
It feels like nothing's happened yet. And I'm not being like telling a joke or anything, but it feels like almost nothing has happened. You know what I mean? At least I don't know. That's how it feels. Maybe because football is so getting towards the end and things are getting intense. Maybe it just feels like basketball is like everything's going like not as fast and nothing's as important in basketball right now as it is in football. Maybe that's why it doesn't feel like anything's happening.
yeah.
It's really hard for me to explain myself right now.
So 1/3 through the way of the season, and you're not paying that much attention to it yet.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of am, but I mean, there are absolutely zero playoff implications right now, especially because the West, which is what everyone's
still
paying
so
attention
jumbled,
to, it's
yeah.
so jumbled. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is saying, all the experts on all the networks and all the websites that cover the NBA are all saying there are all but one team in the West is good and can make the playoffs and be a decent playoff team, and that's the Suns. But every other team is a decent team in the West, which is crazy.
So if we're looking at the 1/3 of the way through the season, let's do our 1/3 season awards. Okay.
Okay, I'm down.
Um,
Where do you want to start?
MVP.
LeBron James.
Okay. I think he could win. He's MVP every year, right? He's suffers from the same curse Jordan had, where he's so much better than everyone that you get tired of picking him, right?
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Especially in a year like I think this year might be different for him though, because he's playing on a team that no one expected to be good, and they're in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're at 17 wins 6 weeks earlier than they were at the same point last year. Yeah.
The LeBron effect. The biggest thing that's changed is LeBron. And sure, they added like Lance Stevenson
And Rondo.
and Beasley. So I think those are like negatives, though. I think that like makes what LeBron did more impressive, right?
I don't know.
So I think he should be a candidate every year because of the way he plays and the numbers he puts up. But this year's especially special because of what he's been asked to do and the load he's been asked to carry, and he's done it so well.
Yeah, no, he's an obvious candidate. I think Steph is always a candidate. He's having a great year.
And I think when he got hurt
got
and they
hurt,
slid real bad, I think that really showed his value even more.
Yeah. But I would probably, if I were voting right, I'd probably go Giannis.
Because the Bucks are doing really well in the East.
Yeah, I think they're like the 2 seed in the East, and like name 2 players on the Bucks other than Giannis.
Oh, I was gonna say Giannis and Antetokounmpo as a joke, but then you said other than Giannis, so I don't know. Dellavedova got traded. Jabari Parker. Did he get traded too? Is he a Bull now again?
He's a Bull now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that proves my point, right? We don't really know anyone else. I mean, are you gonna keep trying?
No.
Yeah.
That broke me.
So Giannis is leading the helm in Milwaukee. Doesn't have that much help around him, but they're competitive, right? I think they just went up to Toronto and won in Toronto, a hard place to win. So he has my vote. All right, Rookie of the Year.
I know you. I think in your notes you have Doncic.
Luka.
How could you not?
Luka.
Yeah, because he's definitely had the biggest impact.
Yeah.
Name another rookie who's had an impact like him. No one.
Yeah, how cool would it be? You're MVP of EuroLeague, and next year you're Rookie of the Year in the NBA.
And the dude's 19. I mean, he's like a legit rookie. He's not like Ben Simmons who like didn't play and then became rookie. Donovan Mitchell should have been Rookie of the Year last year, everyone.
Yeah.
But
and then most improved and defensive player of the year, most improved and sixth man of the year, I think is the same person.
Okay.
I think it's D Rose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's definitely the sixth man of the year so far. My only question is, can you give a most improved player of the year award to a former MVP?
When you crash that hard in the middle of your career,
yes,
because he was an afterthought. In fact, people didn't know where he was. He was it his second year when he won MVP? Was it his rookie year?
No.
Second or third year, right?
It was early on. I don't remember exactly.
But second or third year in the NBA, and you're the MVP, and then you absolutely disappear to the point where people that follow the NBA have to go to NBA.com to find out where he's playing.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's doing what he's doing. He dropped 50 points this year, and he's kept a consistent level of play. I mean, I think in this case you can name him the most improved player because after that injury and stuff, it was bad. Well, maybe a comeback player of the year?
Yeah.
I don't know. But definitely he needs to be considered for an award.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'll continue to monitor these. I know you're not fully checked into the NBA yet. How are my Lakers doing?
I don't think you can say the score out. Okay.
Losing. Yeah. Lakers are going to lose tonight, but that's okay. You can't win them all.
Especially for the Lakers.
Especially. Okay. All right. Let's talk next year.
What's terrible is LeBron will put up like 30 points on like 12 of 13 shooting, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, and they'll lose by 20.
Yeah, he should have done more.
Yeah. Michael Jordan would have done more.
So we talked about the Raiders and their legal troubles and leaving Oakland. We've got a similar situation brewing in the NBA. So the Suns lease the I don't remember the name of the arena.
The Arm & Hammer Deodorant Arena?
It's like the something stick arena. I think it has stick in the name. Or staff or something like that.
Stave?
Yeah.
Is that more than one? Staves.
I
think it's staffs. I think it's staves. But I think that implies that they're smaller, though. I think maybe a stave is just Bosa just pushed a dude right into the quarterback. Sorry.
So they are leasing their arena until 2022. Okay? And the owner, Sarver, is saying that they essentially need $150 million from the city to update the arena and for a practice facility.
That hasn't bit anyone in the butt lately.
And there's at least one city council member who said that privately spoke to Sarver, and that Sarver threatened to move the team to Seattle or Las Vegas.
Everyone wants to go to Vegas all of a sudden. Is it the betting connection? Is it the gambling connection? Because gambling's getting more and more accepted.
I think that the Golden Knights proved that Vegas can support a professional team. Not hard to do when they're one of the best teams in the league,
That helps.
right?
I think,
right
I
from
think
the beginning.
especially a team that doesn't have a professional, a city that doesn't have a professional team. You put a championship level professional team in your city, and people are gonna flock to it.
Yeah.
Right. And what I like about Vegas is as a destination for a major league team or an NFL or NBA team is the away teams will travel well. Because if you're a fan of the Bulls and you live in California or wherever, what better weekend can you think of than to fly to Vegas, spend the weekend in Vegas, and catch a Bulls game while you're there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Vegas will get a lot of fans that travel there for the away teams. Plus, I think, like you said, they could support a team.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived down there. There were tons of Raiders fans down in the Vegas area.
Yeah. Yeah. This story is interesting to me for that reason, but also the billionaire owners who are going to the public for funds to update the arena. Now the Suns are willing to put $80 million to renovate the facility and go to the practice facility, but they're saying they need $150 million from the public as well. So personally, I'm against public funding for sports teams and arenas. Now, I think there can be some good to the city. You look at downtown Cleveland and what happened when LeBron was there. The city benefited from having a professional sports team, right? But it's just my view. I guess it feels wrong to tax people to support a sports team, right? Especially when the owners, in most cases, could fund it themselves.
Yeah, and there are some owners that have billions of dollars from other industries and resources and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some owners that, their business is this sports team. That's what they put all of their money into.
Right.
So those owners may not be able to throw a lot of money at their stadiums and their teams and stuff like that. But these owners that have lots of money from somewhere else could. And a lot of them, there's two different types of owners in professional sports.
If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you should not own a sports team.
Yeah, I went to a business school for 2 years, and that checks out.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't do that. But anyway, yeah.
So not much is going to happen on that front because, again, the lease doesn't expire until 2022. But the city council is discussing right now whether or not to raise funds. And Stan Van Gundy actually had a really good quote on this. And he said, speaking of Sarver, the owner of the Suns, he said, I'm not concerned if he's going to bring a sports team, a professional basketball team to Seattle or Las Vegas. I want to know when he's going to bring a professional basketball team to Phoenix.
Oh, ooh.
Burn.
Enough shade to blot out the Suns. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
All right, everyone. It's time for... we changed the name, right? What is the picture I'm looking at right now? What are you doing to me? What is that? What is going on?
Just get to the segment, Dave.
I can't. There's... Are you going to explain what I just saw to people?
Maybe.
Okay, well, okay. I'm surprised you can even look at this.
It took me a while, but...
Did it? You had to, like, build up a callus to this one image? Okay. Okay, I'm good. I'm fine, but I'm just surprised. That was shocking. I was not expecting to see that. Okay, we changed the name of this segment. What are we calling it now?
Fantastic 5 stories.
Okay, so it's time now for Anthony's Fantastic 5 Stories of the Week.
You just can't count on headline writers to always get it right.
You figure that... I feel like they're getting better at clickbaiting. The clickbait headlines are great. Like, you won't believe... Like Dr. Oz. I hate Dr. Oz because his show, like, his segment's always in with something like, when we come back, the 5 things your partners are doing to destroy your health.
It's amazing that just based on the headlines for Dr. Oz, that anyone is sick or overweight, or because he's got like all the answers, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, David, the robots are out to get us. 2 stories this week on...
There are 2 robot stories?
Yeah. So the first one, a Chinese factory worker luckily survived, but was skewered by 10 metal spikes when a robot malfunctioned in a porcelain factory in the Hunan province.
Hunan?
Hunan?
Who dat?
Hunan said they're going to beat them, say it's Hunan. So the accident resulted...
I don't think anyone got that, but that was fantastic.
The accident resulted in him being impaled with foot-long, half-inch thick...
Those are foot long each?
Metal rods.
You can't tell they're a foot long because they're inside of him.
If I had the picture to put right here, you'd see a guy on an operating table.
Oh, I see him sticking out of his arm
with
now.
Like rods this long and this thick, just like going through his body. Amazingly, he's in stable condition. One of the rods was 0.1 millimeters away from an artery.
Get out of town.
So this dude, it's like always with these situations, it's like, is he the luckiest guy in the world or the most unlucky, right?
Well, clearly, if he was the unluckiest, I don't know. Oh my gosh, that's... Okay, stop scrolling for a second.
Okay. But this isn't the only occurrence of robots working against. We talked a couple weeks about the GPS leading the lady on the train tracks. Right? The technology, do not trust technology, guys.
A real life Michael Scott.
Okay, at an Amazon factory in New Jersey, a robot pierced a can of bear repellent, sending 54 Amazon workers to the emergency room.
Were they bears? I don't get it.
Bear spray is very similar to pepper spray.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so this
But I imagine it's more powerful.
Amazon, it was Alexa rose up against these factory workers, and I think was like trying to lift a box of the bear repellent and punctured one of the cans.
Oh gosh.
And the aerosol, it's an aerosol can, right? So it just like sprayed out.
So one can caused 54 people to scatter.
Yeah. So what do we say every week? Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Keep an eye on your robots because they're coming to get you.
I think iRobot is like a training video.
Okay.
Move on. You've seen iRobot, right?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay, just making sure, because you looked at me like, Dave, I don't know what you're saying, and it clearly wasn't funny. So I figured you hadn't seen the show, because if you'd seen the movie, that was money.
So David, have you ever been axe throwing?
I don't think so. Maybe when I don't think I ever went outside and went somewhere to say, okay, we're gonna throw some axes today. I think one time at a scout camp or something, a kid had an axe or a hatchet and we threw it. I wouldn't call that going.
Yeah.
I mean, axe throwing though.
It's a simple yes or no question.
Sure.
But it's gaining in popularity. We have a friend who went recently, shared pictures with us. Looks really fun. Like there's these actual establishments where you go for the purpose of throwing an axe into wood and seeing like how close you can get. It's a shooting range, but with axes. Okay, and these are gaining in popularity so much that the Lincoln City Council in Lincoln, Nebraska, is considering passing a law that would limit axe throwing establishments from serving more than 2 beers.
Makes sense.
Right?
But I feel like after the second beer is when it starts getting good. Like I feel like people that go to throw axes after the second beer is when they start enjoying themselves. Probably.
This is like
I got it.
This is like
drink 2 before you go.
Yeah. I feel like this is the sports stadiums or baseball stadiums not serving after the 7th inning, right?
Yeah, same kind of thing.
But I love some of the quotes in this story. Axe throwing is the next big thing. Travis Cornelius, an owner of Craft Axe Throwing. People seem to have a blast when they come.
Their family, CHI Health. Happens here.
That's an ad.
That was an ad. Oh my goodness. People seem to have a blast when they come to our facilities. The city council is approving. So there's 2 establishments applying for liquor licenses in Lincoln, Nebraska. One of them, it looks like they're going to pass through. The other, there's a slight hiccup in their application. Apparently,
They're throwing axes.
in addition to there being axes thrown at the facility, 2 of the owners failed to report their felony convictions on their liquor license application.
Yeah.
And so
That'll do it.
yeah,
Were they
the mix
accused of
the mix
axe
of
murdering?
the mix of ex-cons
Did
throwing
you say,
axes.
Did you say axe cons? Did you say axe cons?
Yes, axe cons. The mix of ex-cons, axe throwing,
I'm choosing to hear you say axe cons.
and liquor seems like a triumvirate I would like to witness, but not be anywhere near.
So I think a mockumentary is in the. I think that's a mockumentary in the making. It would write itself. It really would. When someone got fired, you could say they got the axe. Hey!
Yeah.
It writes itself.
Okay, our next story. This is a favorite of mine, and it's happened not to me, but I've been part of this situation. So you've ever you work at a big organization, a school district. I'm sure you get emails sometimes where there's hundreds or thousands of people that get the same email.
Sure.
Right?
I worked for a pretty big bank too.
Yeah. I work for a company that has 100,000 employees.
Oh, that's so cool. Sorry.
It's not my company. I just work there. I don't employ 100,000 people.
When you do, let me know. And can I be one of them?
We'll see. There's a very thorough interview process.
Nepotism got to be good for something somewhere.
When I own my million axe throwing facilities across the country, you can throw one for
I'm
free.
surprised there aren't like a million of these in Texas already.
There probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so these big organizations, sometimes you get an email to everyone, and every once in a while, someone who's kind of oblivious that it went to 1 million people hits the dreaded reply all button.
Ooh.
So this happened in the state of Utah. So Utah state employees, I don't know if it's all of them, but it's 25,000 employees. So maybe that's all of the state of Utah. There was a potluck.
Oh no.
a potluck lunch email that was supposed to be sent to one very small department, ended up being sent to all 25,000 Utah state employees.
So first mistake was the person reminding everyone about the potluck in their department, sending it to every worker in the state. That's mistake number 1 here in this story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it goes out to 25,000 people at about 9:30 in the morning. Okay. And essentially like cripples their systems because people start replying all to it.
Oh no.
And the inbox, I mean, it's just like multiplier effect, right? It's like one nuke is really bad, but when you have successive nukes, I mean, it's just utter devastation.
Yep.
It was funny. Joe Doherty, who's a state spokesman, was quoted as saying, "It's 11:10 a.m. and right, this started at 9:30 a.m. It's 11:10 a.m. and I think it's safe to say the great #reply all disaster of 2018 is finally over. It took them almost 2 hours to get people to stop replying all."
One of my favorite things is when people are hitting reply all to tell everyone to stop hitting reply all. Have you seen that one?
Right. Yeah.
So when I worked for a pretty big bank. It's a national company with even some offices overseas, and we had this exact same thing happen. And it literally, like you said, it crippled our systems. I couldn't get any work done for about an hour because my computer was moving so slowly because all it could do was just upload more and more emails that I was getting. So I've been through that, and it's not fun. Well, it was actually pretty great because I was just sitting at my desk like I can't do anything. So I think I went to like an early lunch or something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, it was funny.
And then
me.
the lieutenant governor of the state of Utah
Whoa, it's getting serious.
tweeted out, "This is a real emergency.
Yeah.
This is real, and it's an emergency. Started out as a potluck and $5 white elephant gift exchange in one
Pay
department."
your employees, Utah. $5 white elephant. Get out of here with that.
And
Pay your employees.
And someone accidentally CC'd every state employee. I fear this will never end.
Whoa.
I guess the emails did go on throughout the day, but they had it mostly under
Dude,
control.
Lieutenant Governor
after a
Spencer
couple
Cox, you so extra. Calm down, dude.
All right, David. If you were to brand our show and the type of news stories that we like to talk about, what would be one of the themes that gets brought up a lot?
Crazy crimes?
Crazy crimes. Yep. And what specific types of crimes do I really like to talk about?
Like royal crown jewels, like the Swedish jewel heist. Have we had full closure on that yet?
No. I think they're still investigating. They've got 2 suspects that they detained. I don't know if they're still in jail. Hard for me to get much Swedish news. I'm going back in September to Sweden.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, next year. So hopefully by then maybe they'll be doing the trial. I'll be able to get on the witness stand and
Report your findings.
Report my findings.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Bring closure to the podcast and to the world.
I would appreciate that because this story dragging on and on, it's all I can think about sometimes.
Royal tiara heist has British police stumped.
Now
David.
the Brits, what?
The Brits, they're so good with their royal jewel security that I'm just in shock.
Are you?
I don't.
Pickledy tiara.
Clog wench. And so what? Okay, so there's this tiara that was forged in like 1904. They call it the Portland tiara, the Duchess of Portland first.
Okay, so first of all, as far as like British jewels go, 1904, 1902, whatever, that's not that old. Not impressed with the story so far. Also, Portland, totally an American thing. And it's not like it's something they named like York, and we named it New York. Like, Portland had been around for a while before they did this. So, okay, I'm down on the story so far, but keep it going.
Okay, so the Portland tiara was made in 1902 for the coronation of King Edward. It was worn by the Duchess Winifred of Portland.
Ah, Winnie.
And it's a pretty nice looking tiara, very big. I'm sure it's worth a ton of money. Bunch of diamonds in there.
Well, they are a queen's best friend.
Yeah. So it was in a display case in Nottinghamshire.
Nottinghamshire,
England. And it was stolen. Apparently, the police and security were notified. The security showed up 90 seconds too late, and the police showed up like 2 minutes after that. They had camera of the vehicle driving away, but it was found abandoned like 30 miles from the castle or display museum.
So they switched getaway vehicles.
Yeah,
Smart.
Maybe they got in the same boat as the Swedish jewel heist.
What if it's the same organization?
Possibly. They
Hide
were
your
driving.
jewels, people.
They were
Hide it.
driving a silver Audi S5, so
Oh.
upgrade in vehicle.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
From, what did the Swedish
started
ones
off-
at a horse? I don't remember what the Swedish
Bikes to boat.
Bike to boat.
But then other
Audi
witnesses
S5.
said they were on foot.
Well, maybe
We've established that the Swedes do not have good eyesight.
they do not. So maybe it's the Swedish jewel heist guys. Maybe they got all their money from fencing the Swedish jewels, and they were able to buy this sweet ride that they then abandoned because, you know, now you have this tiara of Portland that was made in England.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe now, you know, they didn't need that car anymore because next they'll drive up to like in a Maserati, you know, something even more expensive. What's another really expensive car?
Lamborghini.
That one. Lambo.
Maybach.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so our last story. Russian state TV shows off a robot that's actually a man in a robot suit.
That's the most Russian thing I've ever heard.
So Russian state TV, they were showing this like
That's basically the steroids of robot making.
Yeah, it
That's
was
so on brand.
It was this tech conference, right? And it was aimed at kids. And they had this.
Oh, not the kids, Russia.
They had this robot on stage that's like doing robot moves and dances.
Great, show the people on the stream those moves again. Oh, that's high quality robot moves.
And
Don't hit me.
and I don't know that it was supposed to be like, I don't think they were the conference organizers were saying, hey, this is a real robot, but there was something like lost in translation, and the presenters on TV, the newscasters, were saying, wow, like, this is an actual real robot, and look at how advanced he is, and like interacting with people and responding to questions. And so like all of Russia's thinking, wow, we have this like advanced AI robot. And then
Let's hack some elections.
some viewer noticed that on one of the interviews that a human neck is being shown on, like, part of the human neck is being shown just under the helmet of the robot. And so they called into the news station, and
Like a guy calling in a golf infraction?
exactly. So unfortunately, that person has been missing since Wednesday.
The person or the robot?
The person who called it in about the robot. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was gonna say, it didn't surprise me. It was still like a little bit of shock, but I was like, yeah, I can see them putting that in play.
So, yeah. So Russia does not have a fully autonomous robot that can dance and interact with kids. It's fortunately just a misunderstanding. That's it. That's your 5 headlines, 5 stories of the week. All right. And that's it for us. We will see you on Monday. I don't know if it's going to be live again, because obviously we are awesome, and you can only have so much awesome.
I did great. I was great today.
All right.
I was. Our producer, though.
We're done. See you next week.